If you like dominating the battlefield with pop shots and lethal finishers, Squirrel Girl has your back. In Season 1 of Marvel Rivals, Squirrel Girl is back with some updates to her kit that you need to know about. Whether you're swarming enemies with her furry friends or dashing away with your tail bounce in a flurry of chaos, she's a hero that rewards aggressive plays and deadly accuracy. In this guide, we're going to break down all of her abilities, diving into her playstyle, and exploring the exciting changes introduced in the latest patch. Let's dive right in. Squirrel Girl is the ultimate chaos engine in Marvel Rivals. Her kit is designed to disrupt enemy formations, deal consistent damage, and keep her opponents guessing. If you love causing havoc while staying unpredictable, she's the perfect hero for you. If you have ever been bombarded by a barrage of acorns from a skilled Squirrel Girl player, you'll understand what I mean when I say she can be an engine of chaos and destruction. Squirrel Girl delivers AoE damage with consistency, and a good player knows how to play it safe while doing so. You'll get incredible range on these attacks, and you'll only get more precise over time. When using her primary ability, Burst Acorn, which has AoE damage, Squirrel Girl can scatter enemy formations and secure eliminations for your team. Other abilities focus on rooting enemies and dealing massive amounts of damage to locked foes. Season 0 introduced us to Squirrel Girl as a powerful duelist, but the Season 1 updates have refined her kit, giving her ultimate ability more utility with direct bounces, while at the same time balancing its impact. Let's break down her abilities and discover what makes her such a unique force on the battlefield. Let's start with the basics. Literally, Squirrel Girl's primary attack is a quick multi-hit combo that deals consistent damage. A bouncing acorn of destruction. It's perfect for wearing down enemies over time and building up energy for her other abilities. When playing aggressively, stay close to your targets and weave in these attacks to keep up the pressure. And when you need to pull back a bit, you can always take advantage of her other abilities, like tail bounce to reposition and pop shots from a distance. Remember though, every bit of damage adds up. Next, we have Squirrel Blockade, the first appearance of Squirrel Girl's armies of squirrels. This attack launches a charged projectile, unsurprisingly an acorn, at a target for 35 damage. Once the target is hit, they can't move for about a second and a half. This can be a strategic counterplay or a setup for devastating damage. To maximize the impact of this ability, make sure you have a clear target, preferably a vanguard. Once they are snarled, you'll be rooting an enemy for rally damage from your team. Make sure to use this ability precisely, as it has an 8-second cooldown by default. Let's talk mobility. Tail bounce is Squirrel Girl's answer to sticky situations and her main mode of increased mobility. When you need to escape a hot spot on the map, the best option can sometimes be to simply launch yourself in the air with this ability, giving the height of most characters with a double jump and then some. This ability can also be especially useful for repositioning to higher ground in the midst of battle. Pro tip: use tail bounce creatively, but sparingly. Remember that every time you pop off the ability, you will have to wait for an 8-second cooldown before you can use it again. While the jump seems to be a bit higher than Black Widow's power jump, its alternatively long recharge time can be a liability in a fight. With a 12-second cooldown, you won't be able to use this ability all of the time. but when you can wreak havoc on the battlefield with devastating combos. Once you use this ability, you will have 5 seconds to use any one of your abilities free from a cooldown. And an additional plus, it will automatically reload your primary ammo. Essentially, what this means is that you can double tap one of your abilities in the middle of a fight no matter what it may be. To maximize Squirrel Girl's potential, I've made a list of what to consider for the following combos. Number 1. Initiate with Squirrel Blockade. Begin by launching Squirrel Blockade to imprison a key enemy, restricting their movement and making them an easy target. Number 2. Activate Mammal Bound. Immediately use Mammal Bound to reset your ability cooldowns and reload your burst acorns, prepping for a rapid follow-up. Number 3. Double cast Burst Acorn. With Mammal Bound active, unleash a barrage of burst acorns, taking advantage of the rest to deal significant damage in quick succession. Number 4. Utilize tail bounce for positioning. If the enemy attempts to escape, or if you need to dodge incoming attacks, use tail bounce to reposition yourself strategically, maintaining pressure on the target. The 5th and final combo we're gonna save until after the next section when we break down the Spider-Man team up with Squirrel Girl Webbed Acorn. Squirrel Girl's Webbed Acorn is a team up ability activated when Spider-Man is on her team. This ability allows Squirrel Girl to fire a webbed infused acorn that explodes upon contact, imprisoning an enemy within its radius. The explosion deals damage and temporarily immobilizes affected foes, making it an effective tool for crowd control and setting up coordinated attacks. Finally, we arrive at the main event, Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami. In Season 0, this ability caused delightful chaos by bouncing squirrels randomly across the battlefield. But with the Season 1 update, it's gotten a serious upgrade. Now, after bouncing off a structure, the squirrels rush toward the nearest enemy, making the ultimate more reliable and strategic. This new behavior allows you to control the battlefield with greater precision. However, the trade-off is that the squirrels' health has been reduced from 600 to 300, making them easier to destroy. By timing your ultimate when enemies are distracted or out of position, or as a follow-up to a combo, it will be the most effective. Now, getting back to using Squirrel Girl to her full potential, let's talk about that 5th and final point. Number 5. Finish with Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami. Once the enemy is low on health, or if the additional enemies join the fray, deploy your ultimate, Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami, to overwhelm opponents with a horde of targeting squirrels, securing eliminations and disrupting enemy formations. Squirrel Girl excels in creating opportunities for her team, thriving in moments of chaos where her abilities shine brightest. Her toolkit is built to disrupt, damage, and provide follow-up potential for big plays. To play her effectively, you'll need to think ahead and align your moves with your team's strategy. Let's break down how she synergizes with various roles on the playing field. First, let's talk about her synergy with tanks. Squirrel Girl's Squirrel Blockade is perfect for locking down targets and giving tank allies the space to control the front lines. By rooting a vanguard, she can interrupt their charge or stop them from escaping a bad position. Following up with Burst Acorns provides a consistent stream of damage, forcing enemies to stay engaged where your team has the upper hand. Pairing her with damage-dealing heroes like Spider-Man or Thor amplifies her utility even further. With Spider-Man on the team, her webbed acorn creates game-changing crowd control. immobilizing groups of enemies for devastating follow-ups. Against squishier targets, Squirrel Girl's tail bounce helps her reposition quickly, picking off vulnerable enemies while staying safe from retaliation. Meanwhile, her mammal bound ability allows her to double down on combos, syncing perfectly with high burst teammates to secure kills. In larger team fights, her ultimate, Unbeatable Squirrel Tsunami, becomes the centerpiece of her strategy. By dropping it after a well-placed crowd control ability from your team, like Thor's stun or Spider-Man's webbing, you can maximize the impact of its targeted bounces. This ability isn't just a damage tool, it is also a psychological weapon, stirring confusion among your enemies as they try to deal multiple bouncing threats while managing your team's pressure. Ultimately, Squirrel Girl thrives when she's working as part of a coordinated team. Her disruptive playstyle keeps enemies on their toes, while her damage and mobility make her a consistent threat. When paired with allies who can capitalize on her setup, she transforms into a beast of a duelist that is as hard to counter as she is fun to play. Squirrel Girl isn't just about chaos, she's about controlled chaos. Her kit rewards players who can think ahead, adapt to the flow of battle, and execute precise plays under pressure. Whether you're rooting enemies with Squirrel Blockade, repositioning with Tail Bounce, or overwhelming opponents with her ultimate, every move she makes can turn the tide of a fight. Season 1 updates have made her a more balanced and arguably strategic player. By refining the behavior of her ultimate and adding strategic layers to her gameplay, the Marvel Rivals developers have turned Squirrel Girl into a strong duelist and team player. She's a dynamic force to have on any battlefield. Now that you know the ins and outs of her abilities and strategies, it's time to put those skills to the test. Mastering Squirrel Girl takes practice, but with patience and creativity, you'll become the chaos your enemy fears most. Also, check out our complete guide and tips for the Invisible Woman on screen now to master her in any battle scenario. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Squirrel Girl moments are or any strategies we might have missed. Thank you so much for watching our complete guide to Squirrel Girl. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow players. Until next time, keep those nuts flying and we'll see you on the battlefield.